I overheard my family's plan to humiliate me at Christmas. That night, Mom called, furious. "Where are you?" I said calmly. "Did you enjoy my gift?" 3 days before Christmas, I was supposed to be at the mall. Instead, I'd forgotten my wallet and came home early to find my entire family gathered in our living room. Through the crack in the doorway, I heard my brother laughing. "We'll wait until everyone's opened their gifts, then hand her the box. When she unwraps it in front of Aunt Beverly and Grandma, the look on her face will be priceless." My stomach dropped. Mom was giggling, actually giggling. I've been saving the photos for years. Every embarrassing moment, her middle school goth phase, that time she wet herself at the water park, the yearbook picture where she had that massive cold sore. Dad chimed in. "Don't forget the video of her drunk at Thanksgiving 2 years ago, crying about her ex." My sister added, "I found her diary from high school. The entries about Dylan are absolutely mortifying. I made copies. They weren't just planning to embarrass me. They were planning to destroy me, in front of 20 relatives, on Christmas, for entertainment." I stood frozen in the hallway, my heart pounding so hard I thought they'd hear it. This wasn't normal sibling teasing or parental ribbing. This was calculated cruelty. My own family treating my pain like a comedy show. That night, I didn't say anything. I came back an hour later, wallet in hand, and pretended everything was normal. But I spent the next 2 days planning. If they wanted to play games, I'd show them what real games looked like. Christmas Eve arrived. I called Mom at 6 p.m. "I'm not feeling well. I think it's food poisoning. I won't make it tomorrow." She barely hid her disappointment. Their big show required an audience of one, me, and I'd just canceled my appearance. Christmas morning, my phone exploded with calls. I let them all go to voicemail. Around noon, Mom finally got through. "Where are you?" she demanded. "Everyone's here. Everyone's waiting." "Did you enjoy my gift?" I asked calmly. Silence. "What gift?" she said slowly. "Check your email. All of you." I'd sent every family member the same package. Screenshots of their group chat where they'd planned my humiliation. Every cruel message. Every nasty comment they'd made about me over the past year when they thought I couldn't see. The photos they'd collected weren't just of me. I'd found Mom's hidden folder of Aunt Beverly's failed plastic surgery, Dad's emails to his mistress, my brother's arrest record he'd kept secret, my sister's real college transcript before Dad paid to have it modified. But the real gift was the video. I'd recorded their entire planning session through the doorway. 3 days of audio where they laughed about destroying me, discussed my most painful moments like entertainment, and revealed exactly what they thought of me when I wasn't around. I sent it to everyone. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, even tagged the family group chat. Mom's voice turned icy. "You wouldn't. I already did. Merry Christmas." When I hung up, my phone showed 47 missed calls. Text messages poured in, some from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Some supported me. Most were furious. The family was imploding in real time and I was 3 states away, watching it burn. My doorbell rang an hour later. Through the peephole, I saw my brother standing there and he wasn't alone. Dad was with him. Both of them looked absolutely livid. My brother was pounding on the door hard enough to rattle the frame. "Open this door right now," he screamed. "You've destroyed everything. The entire family is falling apart because of you." I stayed silent, watching through the peephole as Dad pulled out his phone. I could hear Mom's voice through the speaker, shrill and panicked. "Beverly's threatening to sue us. Your uncle won't stop calling. Grandma had to take her blood pressure medication. This is all your fault. My fault." That's what they were going with. Not their fault for planning to humiliate me. Not their fault for years of treating me like the family punching bag. My fault for refusing to be their victim anymore. They stayed outside my apartment for 30 minutes before building security asked them to leave. I watched from my window as they argued with the guard, Dad's face turning redder by the second. My brother kicked a trash can on his way out, scattering garbage across the sidewalk. That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone never stopped buzzing. Text after text rolled in. Aunt Beverly sent a message calling me a vindictive little witch who'd always been jealous of the family. My cousin Theo wrote that I'd ruined Christmas for his kids. Uncle Raymond demanded I apologize immediately and delete everything, but there were other messages too. Aunt Patricia, Dad's sister who'd always been quiet at family gatherings, sent a long text. "I've watched them treat you like garbage for years. I'm proud of you for standing up to them. Your grandmother would be furious if she knew the truth. She doesn't realize half of what you sent was about her precious son's affair." My younger cousin Vanessa wrote, "Everyone's always said you were the problem, but I saw those messages. They're disgusting. I'm sorry I never said anything before." Even some strangers reached out. Apparently, my sister had shared the family drama on her social media, trying to paint me as the villain. It backfired spectacularly when people saw the actual evidence I'd sent. The comments were brutal. "Your family sounds toxic. She had every right to expose you. This is what happens when you bully someone for years." By morning, I had over 300 notifications. The family group chat, which I'd muted but not left, showed 247 unread messages. I scrolled through them briefly. Accusations flying, people taking sides, my brother demanding everyone block me, Mom crying about how ungrateful I was after everything they'd done for me. Everything they'd done for me. That was rich. They'd provided the basics, sure. Food, shelter, clothes. But emotionally, I'd been the family scapegoat since middle school. Every joke at my expense. Every comparison to my perfect sister. Every time they needed someone to blame when things went wrong, they picked me. I was 15 when I first realized how bad it was. We'd gone on a family vacation to the beach. My sister had forgotten to pack sunscreen, got a horrible burn, and spent 2 days miserable in the hotel. Somehow, that became my fault. Mom said I should have reminded her. Dad said I should have noticed she didn't have any. My brother said I probably hid it on purpose because I was jealous of her. I'd packed my own sunscreen. I'd offered to share. She'd rolled her eyes and said she didn't need my help. But none of that mattered when the narrative was written. That pattern repeated itself constantly. My sister failed a class. I'd distracted her with my drama. My brother got fired from his job. I'd stressed out the family so much he couldn't concentrate. Dad's business had a bad quarter. The universe was punishing him for having such a difficult daughter. The thing about being a scapegoat is that you start to believe it. I spent years thinking maybe they were right. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe if I just tried harder, was quieter, needed less, they'd finally see me as worthy. It took moving out at 23 to realize the truth. The problem wasn't me. It never had been. They needed someone to blame, someone to make themselves feel better by comparison. And I'd been convenient. 2 days after Christmas, Mom showed up at my workplace. I was a graphic designer at a small firm downtown. She walked right past the receptionist, found my desk, and stood there with her arms crossed. "We need to talk." My coworkers went silent. Everyone could hear her. "Can we do this somewhere private?" I asked quietly. "No. You wanted to air everything publicly. Let's talk right here." I felt my face flush, but stood my ground. "Fine. What do you want?" "I want you to take it all back. Delete the emails. Apologize to the family. Admit you made everything up." "I didn't make anything up. I sent them exactly what you all said. Your own words." "Those were private conversations," she hissed. You had no right to plan my public humiliation. Yet here we are." She stared at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something other than disappointment or anger in her eyes. I saw fear, because for once, she wasn't in control. She couldn't manipulate the situation. The evidence was out there. Everyone had seen it. "If you don't fix this, you're out of the family," she said finally, permanently. "No more holidays, no more birthdays. You'll be dead to us." I thought about that for a moment, thought about what I'd be losing. Family dinners where I ate in silence, holidays where I was the entertainment, birthday parties where my gifts were always thoughtless afterthoughts while my sister got diamonds and my brother got cash. "Okay," I said simply. "Okay?" Her voice cracked. "I'll be dead to you. That works for me." She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and walked out. My boss appeared at my desk 2 minutes later. "Everything all right?" she asked gently. "Yeah," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "Everything's fine." But things weren't fine for the rest of them. Over the next week, the family continued to implode. Aunt Beverly did file a lawsuit, claiming the photos I'd shared violated her privacy. Her lawyer sent a cease and desist. My lawyer, a woman I'd found through a friend's recommendation, laughed when she read it. "These photos were sent to you directly by your mother. You're allowed to share them. She has no case." Dad's mistress, a woman named Heather who worked in his office, broke up with him. Apparently, she hadn't realized he was telling her the same lies he'd told Mom 20 years ago. She sent me a message thanking me for the wake-up call. "Your father's a snake. I hope your mom leaves him." Mom didn't leave Dad. Instead, she doubled down. She sent a mass email to the extended family explaining that I'd always been troubled, that I'd made up lies for attention since childhood, that she'd tried to get me help, but I'd refused, that this latest incident was proof I needed serious psychiatric intervention. Several relatives believed her, but several didn't. The evidence I'd sent was too clear, too damning. You couldn't listen to that audio recording and think I'd made it up. My cousin Vanessa called me one night, crying. "I'm moving out," she said. "I'm 18. I'm leaving. I don't want to end up like you." "Like me?" I asked, confused. She took a shaky breath. "The scapegoat. I saw what they did to you. Now I see them doing it to me. Setting me up to be the next target now that you're gone. My mom keeps comparing me to my sister. My dad keeps blaming me for things I didn't do. I'm not staying for that." We talked for 2 hours. I helped her make a plan. Helped her open a bank account her parents couldn't access. Helped her find a roommate situation that was safe. A week later, she was out. And my aunt and uncle were furious. "This is your fault," my uncle called to scream at me. "You put ideas in her head. You turned her against us." "I didn't need to turn her against you," I said calmly. "You did that yourselves." He called me words I won't repeat, then hung up. Vanessa texted me later. "He threw my stuff out on the lawn. I had to get everything in garbage bags. But I'm out. I'm free." That became the pattern. I was the villain, the one who destroyed the family. But I'd also become something else. I'd become the proof that you could leave, that you could stand up to them, that you didn't have to accept abuse just because it came from people who shared your DNA. 3 months after Christmas, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? Is this Whitney?" The voice was older, female, uncertain. "Yes. Who's this?" "This is Grandma Ruth, your dad's mother." My heart stuttered. Grandma Ruth hadn't spoken to me since the incident. She'd sent one text saying she was disappointed in me, then nothing. I hadn't expected to hear from her again. "I need to talk to you," she said. "Can we meet for coffee?" We met at a diner near her house the next day. She looked older than I remembered, more fragile. She ordered tea and didn't touch it, just stared at me with watery blue eyes. I owe you an apology, she said finally. I waited. Your mother called me right after Christmas, told me you'd had some kind of breakdown, that you'd sent horrible lies to everyone, that you were trying to destroy the family. I didn't say anything. I believed her. Grandma Ruth's hands shook as she wrapped them around her teacup. Your mother has always been persuasive, and I've always wanted to believe the best about my son, so I believed what she told me. What changed? I asked quietly. She pulled out her phone, opened her email. Your Aunt Patricia sent me everything, the actual evidence you'd shared, not your mother's version, the real version. She paused. I listened to that recording, heard the things they said about you, heard them laughing. Tears started running down her wrinkled cheeks. I'm so sorry. I knew your mother could be critical. I knew your father had his faults, but I didn't realize how bad it was, how long it had been going on, how much they'd hurt you. It's not your fault, I said, though part of me was still angry. She'd chosen their side without even asking mine. It is my fault. I'm your grandmother. I should have protected you. She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. I should have asked questions. Should have paid more attention. Your grandfather would be ashamed of me. We talked for an hour. She told me things I hadn't known, how my mother had always been jealous of me, even when I was little, how Dad had wanted a son first and treated my brother like gold while barely acknowledging me, how my sister had learned early that the way to get love in our family was to put someone else down. She also told me she'd confronted my father, played him the audio recording. He tried to deny it at first, then he claimed it was taken out of context. Then he said I deserved it for being difficult. I told him he was no longer welcome in my home, Grandma Ruth said firmly. I told your mother the same thing. They're my son and daughter-in-law, but what they did to you was unforgivable. What did they say? I asked. Your mother cried, said I was choosing you over them. Your father got angry, said I was too old to understand modern family dynamics. She shook her head. I'm 78 years old. I understand cruelty just fine, and I understand that what they did to you was cruel. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. I know money doesn't fix anything, but I want you to have it. Use it to build a life far away from them if that's what you need. Inside was a check for $20,000. I stared at it, then at her. Grandma, I can't. You can. You will. Consider it an inheritance. Consider it an apology. Consider it whatever you need it to be. But take it. I took it. And I cried. Because after months of being called a liar, a troublemaker, a destroyer of families, someone finally believed me. Someone finally saw what they'd done and called it what it was. Abuse. By spring, I'd moved to a different city. Used Grandma Ruth's money as a down payment on a small condo. Started fresh at a new design firm where nobody knew my history. Made friends who didn't know anything about my family except that we weren't close. Life got quieter, simpler, better, but the story wasn't over. Because in June, my sister showed up at my door. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was disheveled. Her expensive clothes were wrinkled. Her eyes were red and swollen. Can I come in? She asked. Every instinct told me to say no, to close the door, to protect myself. But she looked so broken that I stepped aside. She sat on my couch and started crying immediately. Everything's falling apart, she sobbed. Everything. I waited. Didn't offer comfort, just waited. After you left, they needed a new target, she said finally, and I became it. Mom started comparing me to Aunt Beverly's daughter. Dad started criticizing my job, my boyfriend, my life choices. My brother started making jokes at my expense during family dinners. She looked up at me with devastated eyes. I never realized how badly they treated you until they started treating me the same way. Part of me wanted to say I told you so. Wanted to point out that she'd participated in my humiliation, that she'd enabled their abuse, that she'd been planning to read my diary entries in front of everyone, but she looked so miserable that I couldn't. Why are you here? I asked instead. Because I don't know where else to go. She wiped her eyes. Everyone in the family has taken sides. Half of them hate you. The other half hates Mom and Dad. Nobody's speaking to anyone. It's a disaster. And I'm caught in the middle of it. You're not caught in the middle. You chose their side. I know. Her voice broke. I know I did. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For the diary, for the jokes, for every time I went along with them instead of defending you. Why should I believe you? I asked. Why should I think this isn't just another manipulation? Because I have nowhere else to go, she said simply. I broke up with my boyfriend because he said I was acting just like Mom. I quit my job because I couldn't handle the stress. I'm living in a hotel because I can't stand to be in the house. I'm completely alone, just like you were. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I said, I'm not letting you stay here. Her face crumpled. But I'll help you find a place. And I'll help you figure out how to set boundaries. How to cut toxic people out of your life even when they're family. How to survive on your own. She stared at me. Why would you help me after everything I did? Because I know what it's like. And because maybe if you'd had someone to show you it was possible to leave, you would have left sooner. Maybe I can be for you what I wish someone had been for me. She started crying again, but this time I let her. Over the next few months, my sister and I built something that wasn't quite friendship, but wasn't quite the toxic sibling relationship we'd had before either. It was careful, tentative, based on honesty instead of the performances we'd been putting on our whole lives. She got therapy. Real therapy, not the family counseling sessions where Mom had convinced the therapist that I was the problem child. Her therapist helped her see the patterns, the gaslighting, the scapegoating, the the way our parents had pitted us against each other from childhood. One night, we were having dinner at a restaurant near her new apartment when she said, "I need to tell you something. Something I've never told anyone." I waited. When I was 13, I found Mom's journal. She wrote about you in it. About how you were harder to control than I was. How you asked too many questions and didn't just accept what they told you. She paused. She wrote that you were dangerous because you might figure out what they really were, and that they needed to make sure you stayed insecure and dependent. My blood went cold. What? She nodded. There were pages and pages about it. Strategies for keeping you small. Ways to make you doubt yourself. She even wrote about the Christmas plan. Said it would cement your role as the family failure so you'd never have the confidence to leave. All those years, I'd thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I was too sensitive. But no, it had been calculated. Intentional. They'd systematically destroyed my self-worth on purpose. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Because I was scared." She looked down at her hands. "I was scared if I defended you, they'd do the same thing to me. So I joined in instead. I became part of it. And I've hated myself for it every day since." We didn't talk much after that, but something shifted between us. A shared understanding of what we'd survived. Of what had been done to us, even if it had been done to us in different ways. My brother never apologized. He sent one text in September saying the family was better off without me. That I'd always been the weak link. That my sister was stupid for having anything to do with me. My sister blocked him immediately. Dad never apologized either. But Grandma Ruth told me he'd started drinking more. That his business was struggling because people in town had heard about the family drama. That his mistress had told everyone in his office what kind of man he really was. Mom was the most persistent. She called from different numbers, sent emails from new addresses, even showed up at my old apartment before realizing I'd moved. She never apologized, never admitted wrongdoing, just kept insisting that if I'd come back and play my role, everything would go back to normal. But normal was the problem. Normal had been abuse disguised as family. Normal had been sacrificing my mental health to maintain their comfort. Normal had been slow-motion destruction of my sense of self. I didn't want normal anymore. A year after that Christmas, I was having coffee with Grandma Ruth when she told me something that changed everything. Your mother's family did the same thing to her growing up. Made her the scapegoat. Destroyed her confidence. That's why she married your father so young. She was desperate to escape. So she became them, I said quietly. She became them, Grandma Ruth agreed. Hurt people hurt people. It doesn't excuse what she did to you, but it explains it. I thought about that a lot over the following weeks. Thought about generational trauma. About cycles of abuse. About how my mother had probably intended to be different from her own parents, but had ended up exactly the same. The difference was that I'd broken the cycle. I'd gotten out. And I'd made sure my sister got out too. And Vanessa. And maybe others down the line who'd see what we did and realize they could do it too. That was the real gift I'd given on Christmas. Not revenge, not destruction. Liberation. 2 years after that Christmas, I was engaged to someone who'd never met my family. Who knew the broad strokes but didn't need the details. Who loved me without needing me to be perfect or small or convenient. When we talked about our wedding, he asked, "Will you invite them?" "No," I said. "The family I'm building now is the only family I need." He understood. His own family wasn't perfect either. We'd both learned that family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes it's the people you choose. The people who see you and love you anyway. The people who'd never dream of humiliating you for entertainment. My sister was my maid of honor. Vanessa was a bridesmaid. Grandma Ruth sat in the front row and cried happy tears. That was my family now. Small but real. Imperfect but honest. Built on choice instead of obligation. The night before the wedding, my sister and I were having drinks when she said, "Do you ever regret it? What you did that Christmas?" I thought about it. Thought about everything that had happened. Everything I'd lost. Everything I'd gained. "Not for a second," I said. She smiled. "Me neither. Because if you hadn't done it, I'd still be there. Still playing the game. Still pretending everything was fine. You saved my life." "We didn't save each other," I said. "We saved ourselves. You just needed to see it was possible first." "That's still saving," she said softly. Maybe it was. Maybe by refusing to be their victim anymore. By exposing the truth. By walking away from people who'd never loved me the way I deserved, I'd saved more than just myself. I'd saved everyone who came after. Everyone who'd been told they were the problem. Everyone who'd been made to feel crazy for seeing the abuse that everyone else pretended wasn't happening. 3 years after that Christmas, Mom tried one last time. She sent a letter to my workplace. A long, handwritten letter explaining that she'd been hurt by my actions. That she'd tried her best as a mother. That families were supposed to forgive each other. That I was throwing away something precious over a misunderstanding. She ended it with, "I love you. Please come home." I read it 3 times. Looking for an apology that wasn't there. Looking for accountability that didn't exist. Looking for any sign that she'd changed, grown, understood what she'd done. There was nothing. Just more manipulation wrapped in maternal language. I threw the letter away. Didn't respond. Because I'd learned that some people never change. Some people will always need a scapegoat. Some people will always prioritize their comfort over your humanity. And you can't fix that. You can't love them into being better. You can only protect yourself and walk away. My wedding was beautiful. My marriage is strong. My career is thriving. My friendships are real. My life is mine. And every Christmas, instead of dreading the holidays, I celebrate my independence. The The anniversary of the day I stopped being their victim and started being my own person. That Christmas gift I gave them, the truth, was actually a gift to myself, freedom, and I've never looked back.